Hey team, as we're getting super close to our money mastery intensive, we already have all the content mapped out, but I'm always thinking of ways to help good docs profit more, save more, so you have more in the future whenever you may need it. And outside of everything I'll be presenting at Money Mastery, there's always new concepts floating around in my head, and I just thought of two that I want to draw out and model for you because it may just be what you need to hear. So follow along as I draw it out on the iPad, and any questions throughout this, drop it below, hit a like so another doc sees it. Okay, concept number one. Now this comes from working with hundreds of docs over a dozen years, from straight chiropractors, only chiro is the service available, to probably 10 plus different modalities and services. So we've got services on this line, so increasing to the right, and money and income on this line up and to the left. So let's start with a basic bell curve understanding, which most of you at your level of education should understand. Let's say there's three derivations of services. The first being chiro only, this next middle area being +1 to 2, let's say services modalities, and then this area being 3+. What you see right here is what oftentimes generates the most income. Collections really don't matter. Income is what matters for a chiropractor, is having a practice where you have chiro plus 1 or 2 services. Now, don't freak out here. Does that mean as a straight chiropractor, you could never generate this income? Of course not. Does it mean if you have 4 different services and modalities, let's just say shockwave, decompression, laser, dry needling, soft tissue work, you name it, that you can't ever generate this? Of course not. Neither of those are true. We're talking about generalities. And here's why this area usually makes less money and this area usually makes less money, is because of this reason. So docs only have 3+ modalities. First off, there is complexity, and that's for the practice. That's everything from billing to your team, moving people on and off, the flow, the processes. That could be creating care plans. There's just so many things you offer, it gets confusing, which leads to the next one, confusion for patients. You start adding so much into their care plan, they're wondering, do I need all of this? Why do I get that and they don't get this? It's just confusing. And then the third is, from the doctor's standpoint, compulsion. Now, what does compulsion mean? That means once you have 3, 4 modalities, keep wanting to add more. And it just gets worse and worse down that rabbit hole. So that's oftentimes the trap of lots of service and modalities. Now, on the other end, let's put chiro only. What the trap is there, why is straight chiropractors oftentimes generate less? So the first I'm going to say is resistance. And this comes from a fist pumping, rah-rah, maybe you learned it at school or a seminar, that anything outside of straight chiropractic, you're a dirty mixer. And there's just this unnecessary pigeonholed, keeping yourself in a box, blinders on in practice, not expanding how much you could help people and get reimbursed for it. So that's the first one. The next is undeserving beliefs. And this is, hey, if I only offer the adjustment, I can't charge $2,000, $3,000, $6,000 for a care plan. And that's completely not true, because patients are purchasing and investing in the expected outcome they're looking for, regardless if you're doing SOT or upper cervical or you're doing diversified plus decompression and shockwave. They don't care how you're doing it. They're just investing in the expected outcome, not even the guaranteed outcome. So these undeserving beliefs, thinking chiro only, can't charge more. And then the last one for chiro only is a lack of certainty in outcomes when you're only doing chiro. Now, I'm not knocking chiro only at all. Like, you can do just straight chiro and absolutely change people's lives. However, many doctors think if they're just doing chiro, they are limited. And maybe that's in terms of extremity work, maybe that's in-depthness of certain disc stuff. It doesn't matter. Bottom line is, if you're doing chiro only, these are the traps that many docs fall into. So the more services you increase past 2 causes complexity, confusion, and compulsion to keep adding more, which just causes chaos. And the lack of adding any more keeps you in the track of resistance, undeserving beliefs, and lack of certainty in outcomes. In general, not always, this is the sweet spot if you're looking to increase income as a chiropractor. And this has nothing to do with changing clinical outcomes or sacrificing clinical outcomes or anything like this. This is no matter what you do, believing in you are delivering the best clinical outcomes possible. Okay, that's number one. If you like this, click like. Otherwise, drop a question into the chat. Now, let's move on to concept number 2. This also is with our little trusty graph. Now, this is going to be time in practice, and this one is going to be increase. And I'll show you what that means, but pretty much any of these lines, the higher up they go, the more increase. This is going to be graduation from grad school, licensed chiropractor, graduation, license. And let's have a key. So blue line is going to be biz knowledge. Let's do purple line is going to be clinical knowledge. And what do you think we should do for money? Yep, let's do green. Let's do income. Now, when you're just starting off, let's say you're actually starting practice on your own or you're an associate, whatever it may be, you're going to have this obvious learning curve where your income hopefully is growing, your clinical skills are growing purely from getting your hands on more people and more experience, and just by being thrown into the real world, your business knowledge is all growing without really trying to do anything, just being in it. Then there's this point that happens, and I'm going to call this the Turning Pro, just like that phenomenal book, and I'm forgetting the author, but it's called Turning Pro. And at this moment, you have a decision. And it might be 6 months into practice, 2 years, 5 years, it doesn't matter. But you have a decision between what to focus more on, because most docs don't spend an equal amount of time increasing their business know-how and their clinical. They do one or the other. But here's what happens. When you choose to increase your biz understanding, guarantee your income goes with it. However, a lot of docs go this at the turning point. They keep getting stronger and stronger and stronger in their clinical, like, oh, I'm going to get deeper and deeper into understanding every intricacy of laser, or I'm going to get to level 4 master level of this technique. You know what I mean. This is chiropractic. What happens then, those docs usually flatline when it comes to business. They stop learning that. Guess what happens? This is what happens too. And this is the trap. Because remember, this is clinical, this is money, this is biz. And in no way, shape, or form am I ever telling you to get less clinical outcomes or not perform clinically. But if you can do this and do this, that's awesome, and you're going to see this. But this is the red flag. Now, what are the other options? Even if biz goes up and you do nothing learning new clinical besides general experience, let's say it's slightly going up, money is still going to go up. So again, this is not saying to neglect clinical. It's not saying don't care about getting better and better results. But if you do not focus on the business aspect, your money will suffer. I promise you that. Too many docs I find are chasing the next clinical shiny object, the deepening level of being, put on the stage and their head patted, or a badge on their website, or a ribbon hanging in their office that says they achieved this level of technique, and the money just goes worse and worse and worse. And it doesn't make sense because you have stronger skills, you can help people more, you get people better quicker, but you don't realize that this business understanding is where it's at. And this business, we're talking everything from leading team, stats, cash flow, obviously new patient attraction, new patient experience. So we're talking about consult, exam, recs, fees, care plans. But mostly, most docs neglect this once they've done these. So back to this. If this makes sense, give a like, ask a question, drop a comment. Be careful of falling into this trap of just focusing on clinical increase, or you probably realized, hey, why isn't the money growing when my clinical skills are growing, or I'm adding modalities, or adding more expensive modalities? Why isn't this growing? This is the reason. All right, as always, that was helpful. like below so more docs see it. If you have a comment or a question, put it below and I will answer. And I look forward to seeing you at Money Mastery Intensive and helping you create the financial freedom that you and your family deserve when you are dedicated to helping people get back to their life.